Visiting the Blue Ridge Mountains? Stay in Wilkesboro at the Holiday Inn Express, the Hampton Inn, or Red Roof Inn and Suites. Enjoy cozy rooms, complimentary breakfast, and award-winning Southern hospitality. Enjoy the mountains and then relax with us, because you've earned it. Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Deal Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations. Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of Life in Wilkes.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great.
Well, John, I know who you are, and I know a bit of what you do. Why don't you tell people who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm John Yates, and I'm the county manager, and been with the county about 16 years now. I am originally from Wilkes County. I moved away for about 7 years, and was able to come back and go to work for the county and live in Palier. Have 2 boys, and they will both be getting married in 2025, so we're looking forward to that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And my wife's retired from Lowe's, and so that's who I am. We do a little farming on the side. I have run about 60 head of cows, and so that's me.
Okay, all right. Well, that lets everybody know who you are and a bit of your background. So let's back up a minute and talk about those cows. What kind of cows do you have?
A registered Gilby.
Okay.
They're a German-bred cow.
Right. And what do you do with them?
Just sell them.
Okay. So you
just sell them, eat them.
Okay. So they're raised for consumption.
Yes.
Okay. You're not milking the cows or having cow tours.
No.
There is a lady in the county.
Just a hobby.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but that's a big hobby with 60, right?
It keeps me busy.
Yeah.
How about that?
No, I think that's good. I mean, when we talk about life in Wilkes and what people are able to do here as a hobby, because I would imagine, tell me this. So you live, obviously, you have more than 60 acres because you got a little bit more than the cows, right? Mm-hmm. So was that family? Has that been in your family?
Yes, that's family.
Okay.
Yes.
Just that alone, of being able to say that and have that reality, that makes life a little sweeter, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Sure does.
And when you know that you're part of the heritage of an area and having, the effect of generations before you, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. Family means everything. And that's why we wanted to move back, because we wanted to start a family and needed the grandparents, one of the grandparents close by.
Right.
And for their influence and the help. And it just means just tremendous.
There is that power of family. Not everybody has that.
Yes.
But for those who do, I think maybe talking about those values and benefits are very important, because you said you moved back, you want to have a family, but you could have had a family anywhere, right? Where were you living then?
I was living down next to Albemarle.
So you're down in that area. You could have had kids there, but you wouldn't have had the infrastructure, would you?
Wouldn't have had the infrastructure, the family infrastructure, and that's so important.
Mm. Talk about your family growing up and what that felt like around the table at night.
It was just when you have your family around, it just makes you feel safe, and you can do things, and you've always got that family support to help you if and to push you to do better and do things. So it's family's wonderful.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Good thing.
Yeah. Well, Palier is a great part of the county also, right? Mm-hmm. Not everybody knows about Palier because it is kind of uphill to get there. But at least the roads are better than they used to be. So wintertime and the snowstorm or some ice on the road, it could be a little treacherous, couldn't it?
Yes, it could. But the DOT does a wonderful job getting out and getting us going.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So you're up there in the hills, and you make your way down to your office in Wilkesboro, which is the county seat.
Yes.
Why don't we talk a moment about the county manager and what the county manager's office actually does?
Okay. Well, I work for 5 commissioners. They're elected at large on staggered terms. This year we'll have 2 up. There will be a special election for 1 because we had a commissioner resign, but I work for the commissioners. They meet on the first and third Tuesday afternoons at 5 o'clock at the county office building. And I like to say the most important thing a county manager does is to count to 3, because
Okay.
when the commissioners vote, it's my job to go out and implement what they want to do. And so I am the chief personnel officer. We have about 527 employees that work for the county. I'm also the budget officer. So my job is I have to present the county commissioners a balanced budget every year. And then they can take my budget and they can mark it up and do what they want to do. But then our calendar year runs from July 1 to June 30th.
Okay. All right. And your position, you're not an elected official.
No.
You actually work for at the pleasure of the board.
Pleasure of the
right?
board, yes, sir.
That's right. But that puts you in a bit of a unique position, because the politics of election time, you're not involved with any of that. So
Right.
it keeps you away from what's people might say, well, he's owes favors to this or that, but you're not elected. So it keeps your palate cleaner, right?
Yes. I like to say a lot, whatever, when the 3 hands goes up, that's what I do. And
So it takes 3 votes.
Yes.
Okay.
The majority of the board.
Right.
And we've had some very good boards over the years, and they make a decision, and then I implement it.
So the government structure for the county, okay, so you have the commissioners that are all elected, right? So they're the governing body for the county, right?
Yes.
And then you are the person that's hired to do the job in now 16 years.
Yes, sir.
So you've been doing a good job, because they're the ones that would keep you or not keep you, and they're
Right.
keeping you. And so that's a good thing. Who else is involved? So just that everybody understands the structure. So if people want to get something changed or make a difference, I mean, how does that process work?
Well, every meeting we have public concerns. So if you have any public concerns, you can sign up before. You just have to call the clerk and, put your name and get our policy for speaking. And you can come and tell the commissioners, anything. You can address the commissioners yourself on county concerns.
Okay.
And so that's always that's a good thing, because, they can come and express their concerns.
Does that fill all of those needs? Is that how everything is done?
No, not everything, but then we have our planning board. You
Okay.
have an animal control board, and so you can come and talk, and and you can put in applications to be on these boards and get involved. And we're always looking for good people. It's getting harder to find people to serve on these boards.
Why?
And stuff. Well, everybody's so busy.
Okay.
I think kids and being very busy working, and it is getting more difficult.
So there is a need. Is it the need there now? I mean, for people who are watching, are there specific needs now that but there's an opening for more people to be involved?
Yes.
Okay.
There's
Like what?
planning board. There's a position open there.
Okay.
For their board. Animal control board. So there's usually openings on these different boards.
Okay. But it does mean service, right?
It does mean service, and it does mean coming. If you volunteer to be on a board, you've got to be able to. You got to be there, because they'll make recommendations and do things, and so they need you to be there in the seat.
So it really does go back to that idea of service.
Yes.
And being involved, because I think a lot of times we want things and we expect things, but we may not be willing to do our part to help facilitate it. And it seems like on the county level, if someone wants something to be added or changed, it would need to benefit the entire community, right?
Yes.
So if you want to be an agent of change, then you would need to be involved, volunteer, and then learn that system, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Is that beneficial?
And I think all of our commissioners, too, are very open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can call them. They will talk to you. You can come by my office or you can call me. But they're very open to listening to people.
But there would be some that are younger and they have family, but they still figure out how to make it work.
Yes.
Okay. So you need a blend of all that.
We need a blend of it all.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, that sounds good. What else should we know about how the county works? So we've got the commissioners. We know how people can, if they want to see change, how they can get involved from that standpoint. But let's talk about the museum and the different organizations, I guess, or the outreaches that the county is involved with making happen.
Yeah. Well, you know, we work with our elected officials, the sheriff, the register of deeds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're elected to. I work with them, help them any way I can.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good to work with, always been good to work with. You know, our museum, you know, they have their own board, and they work, and how we support them is through a contribution, and we do that contribution every year. We also help the maintenance and upkeep of the building.
We know that the towns have maintenance departments, so the county has a maintenance department as well?
No,
No?
we don't have a
Okay.
maintenance department.
Okay.
No.
So you just help support through
Financially.
Financially,
Yes.
okay. Okay. All right. So how does that work then, taking care of the rest of the county? So if you've got North Wilkesboro and Rhonda, right?
Right.
So they're towns. So everybody else who's not in their districts or their geography, then they're county residents, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how do services, how do they differ?
Well, you know, the towns are, you know, they take care of the parks, and they do the roads inside the towns, whereas out in the county, the DOT does our road system.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we do lease the parks from the towns because we do the recreation programming. You know,
Okay.
we do the soccer and the baseball, volleyball, and we work with the school system too on using their basketball, their gyms and stuff.
Right.
So, but you know, the people in the county, you know, 911, when they call 911, you know, then we know exactly where they are, and we send, you know, of course, dispatch the first responders from the fire departments
Right.
dispatched in our EMS, and we have, you know, now we have 3 different outposts, and then we have our main EMS base.
Okay.
So we think we're getting to people pretty quickly,
Right.
and excited about that.
And you would know if you were supposed to send the North Wilkesboro Police Department or the sheriff or the highway, but you would know who would need to be informed to go lend aid in whatever ways
Yes.
needed. Okay.
Yes. But the towns like to remind me that they are county citizens because they pay county taxes too.
Okay.
So, but we all work together.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken and I have worked together for over 16 years now, and you know, Holly and I work well together. So we like to say we work well together, and you know, even if we have elected officials that don't get along too well, we're gonna work fine.
you still have to keep things going, right?
Yes, we still keep things going.
I think that might be why it's good that you're not elected. It's your job to get these things done. It's Ken's job. It's Holly's job. It's the fire chief, the police. Everybody's got their job to do. Of course, the political arena is dealt with, and then you have people that have won and they're doing their thing. But there is that continuity of everything. Everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah, it is.
I remember there was a storm earlier this year, and Del Isom, or maybe it was last year, Del Isom had just been voted in as mayor, or maybe he had taken office. But remember that big windstorm that came through, and you had some trees down.
Yeah,
and
had some trees on Main Street down.
And I got a notice of that, and I called Del. I said, Del, you out there cleaning those trees out? He said, well, I went out, but Works was already on it. So that's a good
yes,
thing.
Yes, both towns, and Rhonda too, they do an excellent job on cleanups and stuff when everybody works together very well, and if we have a disaster.
Yeah. When when you go to wherever you go to for your annual conventions of county managers, and you're listening to everyone have their conversations, and then you're talking about Wilkes, where does Wilkes stack up in those conversations? I would imagine with a great outdoor resources, it would stack pretty high there.
Yeah.
So talk about those conversations and what you bring to that organization and what you take away.
Well, it's always nice to go out of town, because what you find out is you may think you have some problems, but I promise you they have a lot worse problems.
Right.
But, and we have a lot of the same issues, though, with workforce, housing. You're hearing that all over North Carolina, child care, elder care, as we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You still have those issues coming up. And it takes everybody working together, the towns, the county, the state, everybody we're all got to get together and address these. And but we stack up pretty good.
Okay.
We stack up pretty good.
That's good news. That's good news.
And the towns, they've done a wonderful job with their downtowns and their programming they do. On the concert series, and I always like to say, you got Merle Fest, Faith Fest, Apple Festival, and a lot of young kids that I went to high school with at West Wilkes, you heard a lot of people say, well, we want to leave.
Right.
We want to leave. But now, and they say, well, there's nothing going on. Well, there's plenty going on now.
Right.
There's a lot of really great stuff going on, and we just hope to continue and be a part of it. And
well, I think the good thing about the things going on, John, is yes, there are things that you can buy tickets for, but there's an abundance of things that's free.
Yes.
And
take the Greenway.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
What
Sure.
What an asset that is.
Is that when you back to your gatherings with other leaders that do what you do around the state? Is the Greenway here, the great outdoors here, those assets? Is that one of your bragging points?
Oh yes, one of our bragging points. The lake, the Greenway. I like to say, my mom and dad, they live in Polaire too, and they would have some friends that live in Durham that come up here and camp up at the lake, and they spend time on the Greenway riding their bicycles.
Right.
And they'll stay up here for a week at the time.
I was, I think it's a couple of years ago, I was at the Holiday Inn there was a convention going on, and I was there, and when I was working on a story, I think it was with the Kruger brothers, and I met a doctor there who he was coming in from outside, and he was in his bike riding attire. I said, "Where have you been riding?" And so he said he'd been to the lake, for the biking trails over there. I said, "Well, how'd you find this place?" He said, "Well, I was going to Boone a few years ago," he said, "and I stopped here because something was going on in Boone. It was a game or something going on." And he said that all the hotels were full. So that was the closest hotel, right? So it was in Wilkesboro, the Holiday Inn. And he stayed, and when he first checked in, he met someone who was a bike rider as well, and they were talking about the trail at the lake. And this guy was a regular, was telling him how people who are bikers come from all over the country to have that experience. So he said he immediately changed his plans from driving to Boone the next day, and he stayed in Wilkes. And he said that started his journey of coming to Wilkes every year, because he went to the lake, and then he went out to Trap Hill. There's an area out there that people train for the French, one of the French bike races, and he was hooked. And I said, "So which do you like best?" He says, "Well, I like this place now."
Wonderful.
But I mean, that was just a human experience that just someone traveling through stopped because he needed a place to stay, but there was somebody else here kind of in the same spot as he was in, except they had found Wilkes earlier than that. But they were both from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to think that happens a lot.
Yes.
That's what the hotel people tell me, that a lot of people find Wilkes because they're staying here because there's, they're going skiing, there's something going on up in the mountains for the leaves or whatever. There's no place to stay. They stay here.
Ball games.
Exactly. And this becomes one of their favorite places.
Yes.
So that's an asset that just continues to grow on the good side, right?
Right. And our TDA, they're working locally to promote Wilkes County and promote those heads in beds. That's what we want. We want people to stay here and visit us and spend their money locally here.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. Yeah.
There is something to be said for the county talking about the assets and having billboards and having ads in the paper that talks about the great outdoors, and for it to be in such a great shape when people get here.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the greenways to other people, your peers once again around the state, and you talk about the value of the greenways and what that means to the local economy, is that high on your conversation level? I mean, can you actually speak to those numbers and say, hey, this really makes a difference? Everybody should be doing this.
Well, about 25% of our budget is based on sales tax.
Okay.
So if sales tax goes down and people don't visit and they don't spend their money here locally, then we don't get that money, and we're highly dependent on that money.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very hard to call Mark Bird up and tell him that his budget's going to be going down 10%. It's very hard for the sheriff. So you've got to have these monies coming in. So you've got to promote our area.
Right.
Because you want these visitors, you want people to come do business here in Wilkes. Because that's just what, I hate to say it like this, but money sure does help.
Well, sure. Well, of course. Of course. I mean, Heather Murphy was in with the Health Foundation not long ago, and we were talking about all the programs that they're working on, which is massive. I mean, just massive. I mean, the idea of what happened with West Park and this place that had just run its time and it became desolate, just as things do. But now it's this health center, and then having the Greenway there. And when you think about that project, because I thought about it a lot, because I'd seen pictures and I actually remembered seeing it empty. But when I was over just a few weeks ago, I stopped and took pictures at the end of at the beginning of the Greenway. All the plaques are there for the people who were involved, right, with the Greenway and the West Park project and its revitalization. It was just a who's who of people you would imagine in the community that would be involved and support it from a philanthropic standpoint. But then there's another 100 names. I don't know who these people are. And that's the power of it, right? People really do care.
Yes, they do.
That's your asset, right?
Mm-hmm. The people. I always say the people of Wilkes County are wonderful. Wonderful.
A lot of people say that. They would talk about the people and how it makes them feel being at home, which is a good thing. But here, I think you can actually define what that means because of caring and people who give and continue to give and give till they die because that's their purpose. There are a lot of people like that in this area, right?
Yes, sure are.
Now, there's a concern, and you've been in your position, so you know who a lot of the people are who are involved. As we look at the area growing and evolving, new businesses, of which the area needs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you mark that up as a big need now?
We always want to attract. We always, business. We want the jobs. We need the business here, the businesses, and hopefully the EDC's working hard,
right?
And trying to, we built our first Wilkes Commercial Business Center last year. It was a 30,000 square foot building. The EDC brought the land. They had the land. Wilkes County put in $1.9 million, and it was a partnership with Golden Leaf that put in $1.5 million. And we were able to get two businesses. One came from Michigan, the other one came from Elkin. They expanded, and we've leased that whole building. And it was from the time when we got it built, it was leased probably in 3 months.
Wow!
So that's one of the things we've got to work on in the county is getting more accessible buildings. and property, pad-ready sites. And we're working on that and with the EDC's leadership. And, we've got to do more of that to
Sure.
But to stay competitive.
So do you consider that to be a success story?
Oh, yes.
I mean, to me, that sounds great. You're attracting a business from Michigan, and if I understand right with that model, it's the business who are there for so many years, right?
Right.
It's almost like a huge incubator type, right?
And then hopefully they move, stay here in Wilkes, move into a bigger building,
right?
And then we get another small business to start up, and we also take the lease payments and we put it into a separate account to help on our next facility.
Okay, so there will be a plan, an evolving plan to do another one of those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And coffee in one of those?
Yes, sir. Coffee company's in one.
Yeah. People drink a lot of coffee here. Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm a witness to that. Well, this is exciting. I mean, just the idea, and you're pretty calm, John, and when I first met you, you were calm, and I think that's important for your position, right? Because you just have to keep the rudder even.
Kind of keep the other one.
Keep things moving forward.
And I had a commissioner to tell me one time, since you bring that up, he said, I feel like if you can be there and stand that first wave, it's like a tsunami. If you can get through whatever's coming at you and get through that first wave, then we can figure it out. And we can try to solve the problem after that. So you just got to stand that first big wave. Right.
Now, do you look at your waves as in years, or is it just like any little thing can?
Well, it's any little thing more.
Any little thing can cause a wave, right? Do you get yelled at much?
No, sir.
No,
I don't.
Okay.
I found if individuals call in and let's say they're mad about their taxes, that if you listen to them, listen to them. And be a good listener. Then after it's all said and done, a lot of times they'll say, "Well, we're sorry."
Well, I mean, when you look at what you're paying and then what you're getting, I suppose that balance, just talking it through, I think, is an important thing.
Yes.
Is there a way that we can be more informed, where people are more at ease with those situations and we don't get upset?
Well, we put all of our county meetings on the website, and so you can go in and look at any of our meetings and stay informed.
You can actually watch them.
You can watch them, yes,
right.
Sir.
Okay.
And so that's what I recommend to people. If they can't, love for them to come in person to our meetings, but sometimes I guess we get a little boring, so that we're not on the we're not on people's top list of things to do. But if they do, they can go in, they can watch some meetings, and they can stay informed. Right. Yes.
Well, I think that's a good thing. I mean, there's this thing about prime time, and it's never prime time personally until it's important to you. Then
yes.
Okay, this is on at 8:30 p.m. and it's really important, John. What are you going to do to fix this problem? I got it. Yeah. Well, that's good. So it sounds like there's level-headed conversation to be had, and nothing really truly happens fast when it comes to effectuating big change.
Not with government,
right?
Not with government. It just takes its time.
Right. But it is when we say government, that a lot of people get scared with that, and especially during election periods, there's a lot of banter that goes about. But it's still how things work.
Yes.
And but it's not a hostile environment, though.
No.
And especially on the local level. And that's where we all live. We all, no matter what's going on nationally, internationally, people still live, all around the world, people still live local. So having that local sense of stability is important. So would you say, John, that yes, things go on in the world, but locally, while we have our turbulence, it's still pretty darn stable?
Oh, very stable. I think so. They always, when you can get a hold of your commissioner, you can always get a hold of a commissioner. You may not be able to get a hold of your federal people or your state people, but you can always pick up the telephone and get a hold of your neighbor that happens to be the county commissioner.
Right.
And so I think that makes it a whole lot. You can't get away. You've got to work with people.
Right.
And that makes it a whole lot more stable.
Wilkes County is filled with people who care. Do you witness that?
Yes. Yes.
How does that
just
make a difference?
look at the as you brought up the Health Foundation and what all they've done over the years. And I'll tell you another story. Back when they started talking about the opioid monies coming down to the county, several days there I was scratching my head. How am I going to get this? How are we going to decide how to get this money out? I'm not the opioid expert.
Right.
And how do I make recommendations to the county commissioners on how to fund, what to fund, and what to do? And a couple of days later, Heather walked into my office, and she says, I got an idea. And I said, tell me about it. And she says, we have a COPE committee already set up. So let us help you. Let the COPE committee, who's got the experts in the opioid fields and what needs to be done, let us help you to make recommendations to the county commissioners. And we will also help you evaluate the programs. Because, the way that money's set up, if the programs aren't working, you cannot keep funding them.
Right.
So it's just a partnership, and that's how we've done it. They make the recommendations. And
nice.
Yes.
So once again, you are partnering with the people of the county.
Partnering with the people of the county that care.
Yeah, that's the point. The care, right?
The care, yes.
That care. Sometimes caring takes a lot of work. So it goes back to that whole thing, if you're too busy to be involved, you're too busy. But when it affects you, then you want to get involved for a minute. But there is a value to finding something, anything that you can have continuity in your life of volunteering for in some way of service.
Yes.
I've just talked to so many people that serve and care and they're busy. I don't think I've interviewed anybody that's not busy. They have busy lives, but they still find a way to serve in some capacity. Maybe little, maybe big, but they still do that.
Yes.
So that's the important part.
Yeah.
And I think Wilkes County has a long history of that, right?
They do. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. So let's talk about the future. I mean, what do you see on the horizon? I mean, 16 years in. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That's not something all county managers can say, right?
Right.
I'm sure. Back to your annual gatherings with your people. That's not common, is it?
Well, Wilkes County has a very good reputation. Ken's been here a long time.
Right.
I think Holly will be here a long time.
Right.
So we have a very good reputation, and that helps out.
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. But you're happy with what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But does it push you to be excellent in what? I mean, are you always looking for? I'm not saying you're always trying to change what you're doing, but always looking for new things to implement, new technologies or advancements that help empower your department to be as good as it can be.
Well, you want that. Everything changes, and you just got to get better and move forward.
Okay. So it keeps you on your toes.
Yes, keeps us on our toes.
All right. Well, talk about the future. What's coming up that we all should be aware of?
Well, one of the we are working with North Carolina DOT on extending our runway down at the airport from 6,200 feet to 7,000. So we're going to add 800 feet.
Why is that important?
Well, because that helps Samaritan's Purse use their big plane more. They can take off fully loaded.
Okay.
So we're trying to help that, but it will enable bigger planes to take off from our airport.
Right. So that's the important thing.
Yes, that's the important thing.
So it's going to build up access, right? Accessibility to flights, I guess.
Yes.
In and out of the county.
And we're excited about that. It's about a $13 million project.
Okay.
And we're completing some studies, and hopefully in the next year we'll start the environmental assessment on it. And it's taking time,
right?
But we hope to get that project done. And we also at our airport we have just awarded the bid for 2 10-bay T-hangar buildings. We built our first one last year, and all 10 bays are rented.
Okay.
And so we'll have 20 this time, and hopefully we'll get that project done in about a year. And we have for those 20 bays, we have a waiting list of 22 people wanting to lease them. Promise. So we've got to get that done.
And you add a couple of more.
Yeah. Well, I got to have some more money, grant money. These are grant-funded projects.
Right.
So we're excited about that.
Right.
And, we were under construction now on our new county office building. Get that.
What's that going to do for services in the county?
It'll make us a whole lot more accessible. That location right there on 421, you can jump off and be in the office in minutes.
Right.
So we're excited about that project. We're also, of course, you've heard we're working with North Wilkesboro and Broadway Water on providing water and sewer to the Speedway.
Right.
And so that we're in the process of getting easements now and permits. We're going through the permitting process, and we get that done, we'll go to bid.
Good.
So
Good.
We're very excited about that. We've also got another grant to provide sewer to our airport.
Okay.
So we'll be working with North Wilkesboro on doing that project. Now that just has begun. We're just now just signed the contract for the design. So that's going to be a little while off, but we're working on it.
Well, I think but that's okay to talk about, and I think we all need to be informed. I'm curious as to, when you start this, how long is that project going to take before it's actually delivered and able to be used? So knowing those things, I think, is important. But you got to have, as long as you're starting things are starting, then there will be a deliverable date, because that's why you start. From the county standpoint, you're not just trying things, are you?
No. Those are
doing things.
We're doing them.
Right.
So,
okay.
we're excited about those projects, and also we were given a grant for a pedestrian bridge across 421 over to the racetrack, and so we're working with the DOT on that, and so they would like to have that in place for the All-Star race next year.
Oh.
So the DOT's doing that project, but that kind of time frame, I'm glad they're doing it.
Right. Because that's quick, isn't it?
That's quick. That's going to be quick. But they have very good staff over there, so I think they'll be doing good.
Well, just with the track reopening, and not only does it bring people into town, but it brings a nostalgia to the area and revitalizes that idea as well, right? So the memory becomes richer and more valuable when you can actually go visit it.
Yes.
Right.
I like, on that. I remember when we had the parade, the Holler Parade. Right. Chris Huffman, that I work with, he's our finance officer, and he was down there with his family, and of course I was down there with my family and my grandson. And Chris told me, he said, everybody was happy. It was, he said, it was even better. It was more amazing than the Christmas parade. He said people were just grinning and happy, and it was just amazing.
Right.
So,
well, it was because there were 20 Santa Clauses.
That's right. There were 20 Santa Clauses.
Right. I mean, what I thought was interesting about the entire process is not only did you have older people who would have remembered, but then you've got these younger people that maybe they're part of that, some of those families, but there were people that had never been they're just new to the area.
Yes.
Right? And so that's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sure is. We're very excited about that.
So that's good.
That's part of that, things going on and happening, things to do.
So there's so that one is okay. Basically, that's done and being done, right? And people are, it's opened, it's reopened, races are happening, and there's a future there.
Yes.
So you have that. What else?
Well, you have the future there, and I think if you. Fate Fest is being a big thing. Merle Fest is huge, and the Kruger brothers and the
aren't they interesting?
That's very interesting.
Yeah, they were just on the Grand Ole Opry for the first time this week, and
wonderful.
That was what an exciting. I mean, Wilkes County is a place of great musicians, right? So we're accustomed to hearing stories about the musicians here going off and doing great things. But it felt a little extra nice to see those guys on the stage because of, where they moved to America, they moved to Wilkes County, and they're just so well loved and respected as great musicians. That's something to celebrate. A lot of reasons to celebrate, though, right?
Yes. And going back to what you're talking about with the two towns and their programming that they do, when Wilkesboro puts on a weekend concert series or whatever, we our parking lots fill up before we can even leave at 5 o'clock on Friday.
Right.
Because the people are pouring in, and it's just a great, it's a great atmosphere.
Right. Do you ever call your family and say, "Hey, just come on up so I don't have to come home and get you"?
There you go. Yeah, just come on down. I'm going to stay here.
I got my parking spot already. Well, I hope you have some parking privileges. I would hope your job gave you some of those things. All right. So there you go. We've got all these exciting things happening. Progress. It's never going to stop. I got one other question because it's come up. We've talked with other people about this, and Linda Cheek was in recently. She'll be retiring later this year.
Oh, we're going to miss Linda.
Anybody that's done that job for 26 years in November. That's a huge testament to endurance.
It is.
to working with all sorts of people and just continuing to do it with a smile and gratitude.
Grace.
That's a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. And she spoke candidly about how times had changed, and when she stepped into her position of how the loss of manufacturing was starting, right? NAFTA was coming into play. So people who move here now, there are things that they'll never know about because the buildings are gone. Mm-hmm. They'll never experience that, the idea of a mill-working town, of a lot of factory workers. But now things are growing in a different way, right? So she was very optimistic. Economic development folks I've talked with, they're optimistic. Mm-hmm. From where you sat, you've talked about a few things, but once again, looking at that long vision, how do you feel about things?
Well, I'm optimistic, very optimistic, because I do see, the EDC's numbers that come across and how many businesses are calling and looking for, property and buildings, and I do think that's where we've got to grow and get better and have marketable stuff on the ground so we can show to these companies. And I think our future is, we're not going to probably land a 3,000 employee company, but we need a bunch of the smaller companies.
Right.
And then that helps insulate our economy from a turn down. If you lose one small company, then maybe we've got two behind it to get to fill its place. Right. So I'm very optimistic about our future. What North Wilkesboro is doing with the industrial park. And the EDC, they received another grant to go in up there and start getting a pad-ready site ready. And I know there's other sites that some of our developers have worked on, and so I'm really excited about the future.
Yeah, the future's. It's
I can't say who, but Holly and I met with a company on Monday, and they're all around. They're in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, and they're looking at coming here, and going back to people that care, they actually, two of their main fellows actually went to Wilkes Central, but remembered being here and came back to give us a look.
Right.
So it's very exciting about our future and what might happen.
Wow.
And so,
when you think about that people seemingly are coming out of the blue, but not really in that scenario, right?
Right.
Home was still in their heart.
Home was still in their heart.
But when you're seeing these things happen, we know we got to get a lot of things going, but you're seeing it happen. So seeing it happen, knowing that things are better than they were from quality of life. Back to Greenway, healthcare, education, everything's improving, right? The community college doing a fantastic job working with workforce development. So when you're seeing all these things happen, and just knowing that things are built upon success stories, does that give you that enhanced confidence to where you know things are going to be better?
Yes.
Yeah.
The racetrack's one.
Right.
For years and years, we dealt with the track, and nothing happened, and seeing that come back to life, that gives you confidence. And no matter where I go in North Carolina, especially, people mention that track, and they're excited that we got it, that it's back, and things are happening. it just gives you a good feeling
Yeah.
about Wilkes.
Things are happening.
Things are happening.
Right. John Yates, great to spend time with you. Thank you for sharing a peek behind the door of the of the county and how it operates. I think it's important to have these conversations.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of your conversation.
Well, you're certainly welcome, John. We'll see you around Christmas time. That'll be a good time. You will have enjoyed by that time. So you have the county, so you get to go all places. So you'll have the Apple Festival behind you. You'll have Spectacular behind you. You'll have Christmas tree. Oh yeah. Maybe we'll do a prognostication visit near the first of the year.
Sounds very good. We'll do it.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
Happy 16. My God, when's 17? When's 17 year?
It'll be another year.
Another year.
Actually, October.
Happy 16.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.